Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is 58 Keys on the Road. 58 Keys, as ever, is for writers like you and me who use and who drive around a bit, who use and who write Macs and iPhones and iPads. We use them for writing, use them for our writing businesses, and all the other things we do. Do you like or subscribe or support 58 Keys on Patreon? Because actually, there's a lot of fun stuff going on in Patreon at the moment for 58 Keys, including there was a version of this a few weeks ago where basically this happened. A journey into trying to make this tilt. Yeah. Also, with Patreon, I felt like I was asked to do this. So blame the Patreon members. Okay. Because this is a workflow episode. I think the only way to describe it is this is how I do things using Macs and iPhones and iPads. And there's got to be a little bit of me, and certainly of you, that thinks, do you care? I mean, you do your things, I do mine. We use a lot of the same tools, and I find that interesting. But, you know, you have your processes, you have your workflow, I have mine. The only thing is, I'd really like to know yours. And if I do this, there's the comments below, and you can tell me what you use. And whenever I watch things like this from other people on YouTube, I learn a lot about different apps that sometimes I've never heard of, and that every once in a while become things I use and rely on a lot. So let's just do this. And if you like, you could just skip to the description and see the listed apps. Yeah, that'd be quick, wouldn't it? Tell you what, how about, let's make it more exciting, and I tell you the truth. You're also keeping me company on a journey. I've got to go somewhere, but in this case, I'm also trying to get away from something. There's a leak in our house. It's a small leak, fortunately, very small at the moment, but it's between the floorboards, and to get it fixed, I have to clear my entire office. So this big screen I use, and all of these bookshelves, 2 desks, all of the bookshelves. Yeah, basically I'm just trying to get away from it at the moment, and you can keep me company. And so could this bus if it would do what it looks like. No, it is. Okay. There is also the advantage that since I am away from my desk, I can't get bogged down really in it. If I was sitting in front of, say, this is a Stream Deck that I use on my Mac Mini, my main Mac in my office. I could probably get into the weeds of not just, what it does and why it's useful, but then also exactly how you program every button to do everything and what size I could go, down rabbit holes here, and let's not do that. If there is something I say that you are interested in, ask me about in the descriptions, in the comments rather, and I'll go off and study it and look really good when I answer you decisively and properly about it. This is, let's get on with it. My day, whatever my day is, it revolves around two particular apps in particular, I was about to say. What's my job again? But the days themselves actually vary enormously depending on who I'm working for, who I'm writing for. The 2 apps in question are Fantastical and OmniFocus. So Fantastical, the calendar app, and OmniFocus, my quite beloved to-do app. They are the things I check first in the morning, every morning, also last thing at night as well. I look to see what commitments I've got for today and for tomorrow. A very, very long time ago, I was working for a company writing computer manuals, and I got into their office, put on their kettle, had a nice cup of tea, turned on the PC I was using, waited an hour for that to start. And then up came a notification on the calendar on that PC that I was supposed to be in another city. I mean, I made it. I'm not going to admit to having broken legal speed limits, but I think I definitely challenged engineering speed limits that day. And since then, I mean, it's such a long time ago, but I've never forgotten it. And I got a bit wobbly over COVID and stuff, but I check every morning what's on today, what's on tomorrow. And then it's OmniFocus. What are the things I've said in my to-do app absolutely, totally have to get done today? And what would I like to get done today? Usually there's enough of the first that I don't have time for the second, but I've created this thing called First 10. I mentioned this a lot in the OmniFocus video. There's almost an hour-long guide to OmniFocus 4, which I will link below. And First 10 is just the thing I use in it to, if I get these 10 things done, I'm all right for the day. I mean, just all right, but All right. So that sets me up for the day. I would like to pretend that I just check those two, the calendar and OmniFocus, and at the start of the day, and then maybe at the end of the day to just check I've done everything. But no, I tend to have them both open constantly, in and out of them all the time. They're like constant companions in the work. But then the work itself, I mean, if it's, say it's a day when I'm writing for Apple Insider, then I will typically go to my Office Mac Mini and I will do this. And it fires up all of these things that I need for the Apple Insider day. Because in this case, Apple Insider is most like everything else I do. It kind of involves writing straight articles or straight non-fiction, nothing much at all, and that all goes into drafts 5, like this, just hour after hour. I mean, I start everyone with a slug. I actually have a text expander snippet, which does this, puts in the date and the week number, so that later on I can search for what did I do in week 3 and all this stuff. Not that I ever have, but I could. Used to work in week numbers a lot. And I just write in drafts. Okay. Drafts is more a text editor than a word processor, and I do like the Pages word processor, so there are times when I'll reach for that. At least every Sunday, I wish it was a lot more, but at least every Sunday for 1 hour, there's 58 Keys live writing sprint for Patreon members, certain tier of Patreon members, where we go on together and we write basically in front of each other. We don't swap text or anything like that. We discuss it, but we don't swap it. It's just being there with other writers at the same time, and I get so much done because of it. But at the moment, I'm working on a novel in Scrivener. There is a 58 Keys episode about Scrivener as well, another gorgeous app. Just don't ask me why I choose Scrivener for this and Pages for something else. And while you're not asking me, don't ask me why I choose Final Draft. Well, actually, Final Draft is really for scripts, so that's easy. But every 58 Keys episode is planned out in this. This is Omni Outliner. I love Omni Outliner, and I don't really like outlining. Omni Outliner it's less for, I mean, you can use it for planning out your books. Plenty of people do. Maybe most users do, I'm not sure. It's certainly very capable for that. I just happen to not do it because I happen to not like planning out in that much detail. But I do like planning out ideas, massaging nebulous thoughts into things I can actually do. So, for example, I'm producing, we're calling it a road show, although the number of events is getting fewer and fewer. I'm producing a roadshow. The first thing I did was I went into Omni Outliner, started blasting out everything I could think of to do with it. I'm going to have to find a venue. Who would be good to talk to for a venue? Who do I need to get the budget from? Who do I absolutely need there? Who should I have there? All this, just as you think of it, dump it out there, and I started massaging it around. Omni Outliner is very good at this massaging thing. I don't know why I'm using that word suddenly, but it feels right. It's an ideas planner. You can move things around. You can tuck things under stuff. When something's really complicated and you don't want to focus on it, you can just kind of hide it away and focus on other bits. You know what outlining is, but Omni Outliner is particularly good at it for any idea. I've found this so commonly. I will write down a line. If I am planning a complicated situation, is this a good idea? I'm not sure. If I'm planning out something like a really complicated article, a thing I know is going to be 10,000 words or 5,000 words these days, it's more common, then I might very well bash into Omni Outliner. These are the points I must make. These are the things I don't know yet. These are things I should ask, and this is who I should ask. Well, that kind of stuff. I'm planning it. But there'll come a point where I think, how am I going to explain this bit in the article? And I'll write down a sentence, and then I'll hit return, I'll write the next sentence and the next, and suddenly I've got the entire article written in Omni Outliner. Same thing happens with 58 Keys. I write the scripts all in Omni Outliner, and then I take them out. And this is practically a separate thing, really, but let's move on to 58 Keys and how it's done, because that is what you're watching. Script starts in Omni Outliner. Okay. I then put it into this. This is the current thing. This is actually another reason for talking to you, because this is reasonably new. This is the Elgato teleprompter. I'll give you all the prices when I can look them up without tilting the camera. All the prices and things for various things I use, and links to them will be in the description. But the Elgato prompter, it comes in two bits. There's the prompter itself, which is excellent. This little screen, it's superb. By far the best teleprompter I've used in this price range. And it also comes with an app on the Mac, which isn't so good. It's a bit odd sometimes. And occasionally I have to start and restart it just to get it to notice that the Elgato prompter hardware is there. But when it's in there, I paste the script in different chunks. I hit play. Plugged into the back of the Elgato prompter at the moment, there is a Logitech MX Brio camera. It's a webcam, but I thought the quality was good enough that I could use it for this, and so I have been. I leave all of this set up on my desk while I change gears. Sit down, plug in the MacBook Pro to it, and that should be it. I actually shoot the video. At the moment, I'm using a QuickTime player on the Mac for it, connected to the MX Brio thing. And there's one more bit. I don't know how well you can see this, but I have a microphone on, and that's another reason for talking to you. Yet another reason talking to you about this now, because that's also quite new. It's now a month old, and I love it. I had some doubts about the audio quality, but it's so good now. Weird thing, this company sent me a very similar microphone, and there were two of them, and one of them didn't work, and it took 3 months before I gave up on them. They kept promising to send me a working replacement if I would please just send back the one they got. So I sent back the one they'd sent me, and they kept chasing me and chasing for me until I finally managed to prove they'd had it for a month. So I gave up with them, but I liked it enough that I looked into the market. I was going to buy a pair for myself, and then I found this microphone, and well, since it's you, I'll just tell you I've been completely blanked on the name of it. I like the way it's capturing the way my voice goes up like that. I really I like this microphone. I'm very pleased with it, and I will enthuse about it in the description with links. At this moment, it's recording me in an environmental, I can't think of the word for it. It's not environmental cancelling, but kind of that kind of thing. Kind of that kind of thing. I'm a writer, aren't I? Light noise cancelling when you're in headphones, but this is for the opposite way. It's trying to cut down on engine noises and things. So you may not have heard all the sirens following me, for example, or the guy behind pointing at me now. Anyway, I record this in the audio. I plug that into my MacBook Pro, pop this on, record away. I used to always record audio and video separately and put them together, and now I don't. They just go together, except for some reason they sometimes go out of step. And I load it all up into Final Cut Pro, where I fiddle about for such a long time, because I enjoy it. Anyway, fiddle about with it, do all of this stuff, and then if you ever uploaded videos to YouTube, well, I do that, and there it is, done. There's just one more thing. I have a little bit further to go, which is kind of handy, because there's one last thing I want to show you, which I think is a bit... There's a term in England about, you say, people who aren't, let me do this, and please get out of the way, sir, thank you very much. Okay, I'm not going to do this again. Until the next time, anyway. There's a term in England called being an anorak. It's applied to train spotters and things. And, you know, no offense to train spotters, we all would have a hobby, but it tended to be, in England when train spotting was really a thing, that train spotters wore warm clothing, anoraks. I think this last thing I want to tell you is the most anorexic thing I do, which is this. I record everything. Every little job I do, every article I write, certainly. I will record this filming, for example, the fact that I've done this one, I'll log it. Recording is a confusing word, but when I'm at my Mac, I will push this button on the Stream Deck, or on my MacBook Pro, I'll press a keyboard shortcut, and it'll come up and say to me, right, so what is this, William? And I give it a short description, a slug, really. It's not a title, it's just something I can identify later, and it asks me, who is it for? Dark Ride is my company, so that's most often me. These are the people who tend to commission me the most. And again, a lot of them is me, asks me for notes. I don't know why I bothered asking it to ask me for notes, because I can't remember ever adding a note here, so I just click away, hit Control Return, and off it goes. And it populates things into this spreadsheet, actually into two spreadsheets. I have a Dark Ride job book that takes the next number of the job, adds it in there with the description, so I can look at it later. I have an invoice thing as well, which will sometimes use those job book numbers. And then there's this, what I wrote today. It's like a school project thing, isn't it? Can't say I wrote that title thinking I'd ever tell you this, but all right, what I wrote today is a thing. It pops in there, the date, the subject, the slug for it, and then there's a gap. And later when I've written the thing, I'm actually pretty good at this. When I finish the thing, no matter where it has to go, no matter what the deadline is, I will take the few seconds to pop the word count into that box. And then every now and again, I'll add it up to see how am I doing this week. I said there were fun things going on at Patreon. I think this is a fun thing. On the 58 Keys Patreon thing, there's a thing called Fess Up and Press On Fridays. On a Friday, say, right, what have you written? And what are you going to write next week? And like I have this habit of counting words to somehow prove progress. So I can proudly add it all up and show the word count and feel pretty good, even if actually most of the words were, just quite dull planning things. But okay, some of it's the novel, some of it scripts as well. Hard to count words in a script, but you do your best. And that's the end of the logging for it. I'm trying to think of anything else I do. I mean, buy better tripods, drive better. Don't want to knock the tripod I'm using, but I could knock my own driving. When I did this for the Patreon people version a few weeks ago, I could not think of an ending. So I came so close to crashing the car just to give a dramatic finish. You'll understand if yeah, okay. Another ending that's possibly going to come up is the fact that it's 19 degrees Celsius here at the moment. And in the car, that's very hot. So I can feel that my iPhone is burning up. I mean, maybe that's what that horn was about just now. I don't know if you could hear that over the environmental cancellation stuff, but there were some angry people behind me. Actually, because of people ahead, it wasn't me. But any minute now, they're going to be on the horn because my phone has burst into flames. So that, plus the fact that I'm almost there. I'm going to shut up now. I hope this was of some use. I mean, in some ways, it felt like I just rattled off app names and hardware names and couldn't even remember all of those. So do check the description. If there is anything that is of interest to you, well, let me know and I'll tell you more about it as more as I can. And whatever you're doing with your Mac, your iPhone, your iPad, in your writing, in that description, please, come on, let's share about this. In the meantime, that's it. After you for 58 Keys Live, 58 Keys on the 58 Keys Roadshow. Let's call it that. Okay. And I'll go back to concentrating. But speaking of concentrating, come on, you got things to do. You got things to write. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for putting up with my prattling while I just, endangered traffic here. Write more. It's important. We need it. It's important to us. And I'll see you soon.